Okay, guys, I have to tell you guys something. Obviously, I'm gonna keep it very vague. Guys, I found a boyfriend. Just kidding. There are some things that never change, you know. In the span of 2 weeks that I was away, I finally found the love of my life on the airplane, the toilet, while I was throwing up. No. My father and my stepmother had a kid while I was away. When I came to Japan, I met him for the first time. So actually, I am an onei-chan now. Like, for real, for real. I'm an onei-chan, like, for real. He's my only sibling. Actually, though, I'm not an only child anymore. Which feels kind of weird to say. When they told me the first time, I was like, I had some mixed feelings about it. I was like, this is weird. And low-key, I was like sort of angry too. There were like a lot of feelings. I was like angry and I was like, because it's not like he's like a couple years younger. He's like a decade or two younger than me. Yeah, he's like basically, I'm old enough to be like his mom, you know? Yeah, it was really weird. Like, I was like not happy at first. I was like, first of all, where the fuck did this kid come from? Number two, that's fucking nasty. Number three, my dad is on his second baby and I'm still a virgin. Like, what the fuck? You know, I was low-key kind of pissed. Like, for real. I was actually angry. But yeah, I have a little brother. I'm gonna call him Chibi-ske. My dad was like, before he left on his business trip this morning, he was like, "Iko shite ne," like to my little brother, which means like, be good, like be a good kid. And then I was brushing my teeth and looking like a slob, and he opened the door and he's like, "You too, iko shite ne." And I'm just like, I'm in my 20s, like, bro. And he's like, "Yeah, I know, you are the most troublesome." He's like, "Yeah, don't cause too much stress to your stepmom." I'm like, I don't know if he was joking or not, but like, I literally don't do any, like, I feel like I help out a lot, you know? I don't feel like I do anything that really hinders people. But my stepmother is literally like, yeah, she's a stress machine. Oh my god. Okay, I just remember this, but like, there wasn't enough space for a second monitor, and my stepmother, I don't know what was happening. I don't know, like, does menopause like happen after pregnancy or something? But like, she was like crying. She was like, "I'm so sorry you can't get a second. Sorry that our house is so small and you can't get to," like, she was crying. Like, she was crying really hard. I'm like, it's okay. I'm so sorry. I really want you to feel like you're at home. But like, there's just not enough space for 2 monitors. And there's not a room. Like, if you really want to, we could buy another table, but I don't think we can fit it into this room. And I'm just sorry, our house is very small. And I'm just like, it's okay. And I had to like look at her in the eyes and hug her and be like, it's okay. I like using one monitor anyways. It's not gonna like affect me in a negative way at all. Like, I've been abused and traumatized like most of my life. Having one monitor is not going to make me, you know, want to off myself. Do not worry. I think it's because like, she knows I've been through a lot the past year, especially when I first came back. This was like the first couple of days when I came back to Japan. She was really like worried that, you know, about like the new baby, you know, because I was very upset at first. She was just like worried that I would like hate her or something. Because like, we didn't really get too along when she was first introduced into the family. Basically, my dad told me that like, she was just very anxious that I would kind of like hold a grudge against her or something. If I was like a spoiled child and like I only thought about myself, yeah, I'd probably be like that. But like, you know, I know life is very difficult. It doesn't always go as planned, you know, I know that firsthand. And, you know, as long as she treats you well and she is good to you, then I'm good. Like, I'm happy. Like, this is literally all I wanted from my dad, you know? My dad used to live in like a really small space. Back when we didn't have a lot of money, he would be working by himself in Japan, making, you know, barely enough for one person, and then like sending most of it to me and my mom back in Canada so that we could like, you know, buy food and necessities and shit like that. And he himself would be living in like this really tiny space. The only other room was like a bathroom. The kitchen, living room, bedroom was this one singular space. I didn't know that at first until like I moved to Japan to live with him for like a year or two. And when I like saw that he was actually living in this place for like over 5 years, it was just like a really rough time for all of us, but especially him, in my opinion, because like my mom was going through mental illness. So every time he came back to Canada, she'd be like, "Oh my god, you're you're being brainwashed and blah blah blah, you know. He was super duper not welcomed home. It was miserable, but he didn't think about that. He thought about, how do I provide for my child? And like, I wasn't even like a kid. I was like in my teens, and he was like living like that. I actually told my dad, like, okay, mom is really sick. More than that, she's sick, but she's treating you really badly. I was like, look, if you are getting abused and you can't handle it, don't stay because I'm your kid. Just like live your life. And he was so surprised that I said that, because at the time I was like not an adult. I was like under 18. It was very difficult too, because like you can't do a divorce unless both of the parents like sign something. It was a very complicated divorce. Like, you know, I had to do some paperwork and shit. So after he divorced my mom, I was like, yeah, if you wanna like find someone else and have a life with them, I will be happy for you. I literally told him, like, I'm not really sure how I will feel about it, because I'm just saying it, but I'm pretty sure because I love you so much, I'm going to adjust eventually, and it's gonna be okay. A couple years down the line, he found, you know, my stepmother, who is my stepmother today. They got married, you know. There were some like fights and stuff between all of us, because, you know, it's a lot of change, and it was very difficult. Like, I did not get along with her in the beginning. I did, but like, because she had like really different like perspectives and very suffocating rules, I was low-key annoyed. Like, oh my god, when I told you to find a girlfriend, I didn't mean like another cuckoo woman. Like, seriously, I literally told him, I was like, wow, I told you to find somebody to take care of you, not somebody who's gonna like destroy you again. It's like, oh, she's good. It's just like she's just different. She's still very different from like, you know, how I live my life, and even how my dad lives his life. Like, even my dad disagrees with her on certain things. But, you know, it's just like different culture, different people. People are just different, and sometimes when you just understand that, like, okay, we don't have to get along in like everything. There's just one important thing that I've always wanted, and it's just I wanted my dad to like have a good rest of his life. If he wants to grow old with someone, I'm glad it's gonna be with someone who like truly cares for him. And she wanted a child a little bit later, which honestly was very difficult, because like she's a lot older, so like giving birth and stuff like that was very difficult for her. She had a lot of like birth like problems, okay? Like, when she was pregnant, she was like, she went to hospital a lot, okay? It's very difficult. Seeing how much she wanted this, I was just like, okay, like low-key, I was like, oh my god, like, why do you need a child now? Like, my dad's so fucking old, he could be his grandpa. But like, you know, some people, they just really wanted a kid, especially last year, because both of her parents passed away, like both of them. Then I was thinking like, okay, she didn't have this kid and my dad passes first in the future. She's gonna be alone. I kind of like understood it from her perspective, but it wasn't like this in the beginning. In the beginning, I was like, oh my god, like she wants to like, not only did I not feel welcome in this household, but now she's low-key making a family, and now I feel more left out than I already am, because I'm like very far away most of the time. I'm in Canada and they're in Japan. You know, it's just a little lonely sometimes, and when I see like they're making a family on the other side of the world, I'm like, well, I've been replaced wholeheartedly and completely. That's just the sort of feeling you will always feel if you only think about yourself. I'm not saying that it's not valid. I feel like it's normal to feel like that in the beginning. But then I started thinking like, well, what did you want for your dad in the first place? You want him to live in a nice home, and you want someone to take care of him. And you told him that's what you wanted, and then you told him you will probably find a way to adjust, because you can't. Especially when I came back to Japan and I saw how they are, and like, you know, Chibisuke, and then I looked at the home and shit. Yeah, this home is lovely. Especially when the sun was shining through the window, I was like, wow, this is such an upgrade for my dad. I'm really happy for him. Like, he can go on the balcony and like, you know, take some fresh air. You know, he has a baby to take care of, and he's really happy because well, not found, but like he has like a focus, you know? And then my stepmother also has a focus too. She's a lot more chill now because of the baby. Like before, she used to be so super strict. Now that she has a kid, I think she understands like the bond between a parent and a kid. So she's more understanding of how I am with my father too. Because before, like I would be very close with my dad, and she would be like, oh my god, like you're already like an adult, like why are you being so like spoiled brat with your dad? I'm just like, I'm just being his kid. But now that she has a kid, I think she understands it, and she even told me that herself. She was like, yeah, it wasn't until I had Chibiske that I really understood, like, you know, there is something that's very different between a parent and a kid. Honestly though, I really do think like Chibiske has a really great personality. He's gonna be fine when he grows up. Because as soon as I saw him, the first thing he did was smile at me, and I'm just like, oh no, man, now I know we get along. My dad's living a good life here. I don't have to worry about him. My little brother is so fucking cute. I love him. My stepmother is more chill. It's never gonna be perfect, but like that's what you really have to understand, is it won't ever be perfect. Like in a perfect life, I would obviously want my parents to be together and I'm like the Disney princess only child and be like really spoiled. But that's just not how it is. Growing up, especially more recently, I'm like, okay, whatever life throws at you, part of making it okay is just understanding that it is going to be okay, and it might just not be the way that you want it to be. But that doesn't mean that it's not gonna be like, it's not gonna be good. And you know, I'm like getting to the point in my age where like, you know, I could be low-key starting my own family, you know, I'm still looking at but like, you know, it's a progress, and this is like my journey. Like my dad and my stepmother don't have as much time as me, so I want them to have a good life. I don't want them to be like 60, 70 and them like living in a small ass place. I'm very happy for them. If I ever have a kid, I hope they are as considerate and open-minded as I am. I am very aware that, you know, I'm pretty open-minded, so I hope whatever baby I fucking like shit out, they'll also do the same for me, and they'll be like, Mom, I hope you live in a great place. I swear to God, if my baby is the devil, I'll be like, oh my God, I hate myself. Yeah, like for those of you guys who go through shit, it's very reasonable to feel life is unfair, because it is very unfair. Like a lot of these things that happened to me were out of the blue, not quite what I imagined, you know. But this life isn't bad either. It's all about like changing your perspective and attitude, which is super duper hard. And I'm not gonna tell you guys that like I was like this from day one. It took me like years, okay? I did not like my stepmom for like the majority of my life. I was like, bro, this woman as cuckoo as my mom. Like, what the fuck? Are you into cuckoo women, Dad? But she really does take care of my father, and that's all I can ask for. It's a little bit difficult and maybe hard to understand sometimes because I'm still trying to understand it. Not like I consistently feel like this. It's like an up and down thing. But like more or less, I understand. The people around you are happy. You're gonna be okay too. Well, you should be. Like, if the people around you are happy and you're not happy, that's a you problem. So, why would I not be happy seeing my dad happy, you know? That's, like, very important to me. No matter what it is. Do your best in life and just... things will never work out. Let me just tell you guys this. Things will not work out, okay? Life really sucks. It's unfair. It does not work out. Every time when you go outside your door and you think it's gonna rain, it's not gonna rain. When you go outside and you think it's not gonna rain, it's gonna rain. But like, you can't just be upset every single time. You cannot predict the weather, okay? If it rains and you don't have an umbrella, then you get soggy wet and you laugh about it. Or you can cry for like 10 minutes and be like, what the fuck, you know? If it's fucking hot and you bring an umbrella and you have to lunge it the whole day, then you'd be like, oh, wow, I suck. That's life, you know? I'm gonna be honest. Like, that's just life. But you can't be super upset over it, because you know what happens if you become super upset every single day? You do not predict the weather. You become really depressed and then you have mental illness. Take care of yourselves. Don't take life too seriously. As long as you are still in the presence of rain and sun, you know you are alive and it's okay. You're not gonna die and you'll figure it out, okay? Like, it's not like in the rain and in the sun, regardless, you'll go somewhere and, you know, it'll be a very nice day. Live your life the best that you can, and don't hold on to grudges for too long. Don't be actually angry or wrathful, because the only person you hurt when you are like super angry or wrathful is yourself. And like literally, the only person you are hurting is yourself. That's all. That's my TED Talk. Your boyfriend is so lucky to have you. Okay, let me tell him that. Hey! Yo, my chat says you're so lucky to have me. Thanks. I'm lucky to have her too. Thanks! I was like giving you guys some solid life advice and you guys like returned it by saying like, oh my god. Thanks guys. I've been giving you life advice. Be angry. Fight always wins.